Experience. There are moments in life when God removes people, shuts doors, and ends connections that you thought would last forever. You cry, you question, experience. You replay every conversation, but what you don't realize is this: God's subtraction is never a mistake. When he takes someone out of your life, experience, he's not trying to hurt you. He's trying to protect the future he prepared for you. Sometimes the biggest blessing comes disguised as heartbreak, because the truth is, experience, not everyone who started with you is meant to finish with you. Some people are temporary assignments, not lifetime partners. And until God clears them out, experience, he can't bring in what's next. When God takes someone out of your life, the first emotion that usually rises is confusion. You ask, why God? Experience. What did I do wrong? You replay conversations, moments, memories, trying to make sense of a change that doesn't seem fair. Experience. But what if I told you that removal is not always rejection, it's revelation? Sometimes God removes to reveal. He's not punishing you. Experience. He's protecting something inside of you that can't grow while certain people remain attached. There are relationships that block your spiritual vision. Experience. That limit your potential, that drain your peace. And because you've grown used to them, you can't see their effect. So God steps in. Experience. Not because he wants to break your heart, but because he wants to open your eyes. You see, God has a way of doing surgery on your soul. He doesn't always announce it. Experience. He doesn't always explain it. He simply removes what doesn't belong. And in the moment, it feels painful because you've attached your peace to people. But sometimes, experience, God has to cut you off from what you thought you needed to show you, what you never should have depended on. You were leaning on them for strength. Experience. But your real strength was never supposed to come from them. It was supposed to come from him. When you stop hearing his voice clearly, experience, he may silence every other voice around you. Because as long as you are surrounded by noise, you won't recognize the whisper that leads you into destiny. Experience. God removes people to expose truth. He reveals who was really for you and who was just around you. He exposes who loved your potential but never planned to support your purpose. Experience. Sometimes you can't see a person's true motives until they're gone. You thought they were there to build you up, but in reality, they were there to benefit from your light. Experience. When you start growing, shining, and stepping into your calling, their comfort zone gets threatened. They can't handle your elevation. Experience. So God allows distance to create separation. He removes them before they can limit you. What feels like abandonment is actually alignment. He's aligning you with the next season. Experience. Even if it means losing some people from the last one. There are seasons where God will strip away everything that gave you security, not because he wants to leave you empty, experience, but because he wants to fill you with something greater. Every time God subtracts, he's making room for something that adds to your destiny. The friend who stopped calling, experience. The person who betrayed your trust, the one who walked out without explanation. None of that caught God off guard. He saw the conversations you did, experience. He heard the thoughts they never said aloud. He knew their presence would block your progress. So he quietly took them out before they could distract you from the mission ahead. Experience. You might not realize it now, but some connections are temporary by divine design. God sends certain people for a season to teach you, strengthen you, or challenge you. Experience, but not to stay forever. The danger comes when you try to turn seasonal relationships into lifetime commitments. Experience. You're asking someone to carry weight they were never built to hold. So when the relationship crumbles, don't curse it. Thank God for the revelation. Experience. Because every person who leaves makes room for something new that's meant to last. Their exit isn't proof that something went wrong. Experience. It's proof that God is guiding what's right. There are times when God's protection feels like pain. Experience. But what he's really doing is removing a piece that doesn't fit your future. Think about it. How many times did you beg God to keep someone? Experience. Only to realize later that their absence became your peace. You didn't lose them. You were released from them. You were released from manipulation, from negativity. Experience. From cycles of confusion that blocked your growth. What you called rejection was really God saying, experience. I love you too much to let you stay connected to what's breaking you. He sees the full picture. He knows what's coming before you do. Experience. That's why you have to trust his hands, even when you don't understand his plan. When God removes to reveal, he's also revealing something about you. Experience. He's showing you your strength, your value, and your ability to stand alone. You start realizing you don't need constant validation. You don't need everyone to agree. Experience. You just need to walk in obedience. And as you walk, you'll notice peace returning to places where confusion once lived. You'll notice clarity replacing chaos. Experience. You'll notice that the people God brings next will reflect the peace you fought to keep. Because once you've seen who's truly for you, you won't settle for fake love again. Experience. So don't waste time mourning over what God already moved. Trust that his removal is your revelation. Every closed door, every ended friendship, experience, every painful goodbye was necessary to bring you back to focus. God had to make you uncomfortable to make you grow. Experience. He had to show you that not everyone who sits at your table is meant to eat from your plate. And one day you'll look back and say, now I see. If God hadn't taken them out, experience, I would have missed what he was trying to bring in. Sometimes the greatest gift God gives isn't what he adds, it's what he takes away. Before God promotes you, experience, he always protects you first. You might not see it that way because protection doesn't always come wrapped in comfort. Sometimes it looks like separation, silence, and solitude. Experience. Sometimes God's protection feels like a loss, but what he's really doing is shielding you from battles that could sabotage your destiny. He sees the traps before you do. Experience. He knows the hearts you can't read. He understands the motives that people hide behind smiles. And because of that experience, he steps in to remove anyone who could destroy what he's building in you. You may think you're ready for elevation, but before God takes you higher, experience, he clears your surroundings of anything that can't breathe at that altitude. You see, promotion in God's kingdom doesn't just require skill, it requires protection. Experience. The higher you go, the more exposed you become, the more visible your purpose, the more vulnerable your spirit. That's why God isolates before he elevates. Experience. He puts you through a pruning season, cutting off branches that look alive but aren't producing fruit. You might call it rejection, but God calls it refinement. Experience. You might call it abandonment, but he calls it preparation. Every person who walked away was part of his process. He had to remove them because they were carrying seeds of doubt, experience, jealousy, or distraction. If they stayed, their influence would have corrupted your focus. God doesn't promote with clutter. He promotes with clarity. When God protects, experience, he does it quietly. You won't always get an explanation. The friend who suddenly stopped calling, the opportunity that unexpectedly fell through, experience, the door that seemed perfect but slammed shut. All of it was God saying, not this one. Not because it wasn't good, but because it wasn't safe. Experience. God's plan for your life is too precious to let you tie it to something that looks shiny but hides danger underneath. Experience. Sometimes he has to disappoint your preference to defend your purpose. And that's why you can't chase after what he has removed. Experience. Because if you force yourself back into places he pulled you from, you'll walk outside his protection. Divine protection always precedes divine promotion. Experience. Look at your life. Every time you've leveled up, something or someone had to be left behind. That's not coincidence, that's pattern. Before new blessings come, experience, old attachments must go. God will never pour destiny into a container that's already full of distraction. You can't carry new oil in old vessels. So when he starts to remove, experience. Don't resist. He's not trying to punish you. He's trying to preserve you. The same people who clapped for you when you started might not clap when you growl. Experience. Some were loyal to your struggle, but not to your success. God saw that before you did, and he loves you too much to let them contaminate your next chapter. Experience. You have to understand the season before promotion is usually the most confusing one. That's when God tests your trust. Experience. That's when you feel like you're losing everything, but really you're being positioned for something greater. The wilderness is not the end of your story. Experience. It's the place where God hides you while he works on you. He's stripping away pride, fear, and dependency on people so that when you step into the next season, experience, you won't give credit to anyone but him. That isolation you hate so much, that's divine insulation. It's God's way of saying, experience, you're too valuable to be exposed too soon. It's easy to think that protection only comes in the form of blessings, health, money, success, peace. Experience. But sometimes protection comes as a blocked door, a canceled meeting, a broken connection. God protects through prevention. He won't let you touch what will hurt you. Experience. He won't let you stay where growth will stop. The enemy will always try to attach people and situations to you that look right but lead wrong. So God steps in, experience, even if it breaks your heart, and says no. And when he says no, you've got to learn how to thank him just as loudly as you thank him for the yes. Experience. You have to stop equating comfort with confirmation. Just because something feels good doesn't mean it's God. And just because something hurts doesn't mean it's wrong. Experience. Some of the greatest blessings in your life will be born out of pain that protected you. God will remove someone who makes you happy in order to make you holy. Experience. He'll close a door that looks promising so he can open one that's permanent. That's the kind of father he is. Not one who always explains, but one who always knows best. Experience. When divine protection is at work, promotion is not far behind. God clears your circle not to leave you alone, but to make room for people who will match your next level. Experience. He'll send new voices that speak life, new opportunities that build you, and new assignments that fulfill you. Experience. But he can't do that until you let go of what he's already taken. The only thing that can delay your promotion is your attachment to what God already protected you from. Experience. So the next time someone leaves your life, don't panic. Thank God for the unseen protection. The next time a door closes, experience. Don't pound on it. Stand still and know that it closed for a reason. Because when you see divine protection, it's a signal divine promotion is coming next. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. God removes before he rewards. He protects before he promotes. And when he finally lifts you up, experience, you'll realize that every person he took out of your life was necessary to keep your destiny intact. Experience. When God allows you to experience isolation after losing someone from your life, it's easy to see it as abandonment. You might feel forgotten, rejected, experience, or left to navigate life on your own. But nothing could be further from the truth. Isolation is not a punishment. It is a classroom where God teaches, molds, and transforms you. Experience. He knows that growth requires space. Space to reflect, space to hear his voice, and space to build strength that can only come from him. When people are removed from your life, experience, it is often because God needs to work in ways that cannot happen in the noise of constant companionship. Experience, he removes the distractions so that your focus can be fully on him and the purpose he has designed for you. Think about it this way. Sometimes you need to be alone to discover who you really are. When relationships dominate your attention, your identity becomes tied to others' opinions, needs, and expectations. You start to define yourself by how people see you rather than how God sees you. The moment God removes someone, he creates space for you to reconnect with your own heart and, more importantly, with his. In that silence, experience, you begin to understand your worth comes not from human approval, but from your Creator. You start to see that you are enough, that you have been equipped, experience, and that your destiny does not depend on anyone else's presence or validation. Isolation is also a time for strengthening. Experience. God knows that what you are about to face requires endurance, patience, and wisdom. These cannot be cultivated in constant companionship. Experience. Strength is born when you are faced with challenges alone, when you must rely on prayer and faith instead of leaning on others. It's in the quiet moments of solitude. Experience. When no one is around to cheer you on, that your character is truly tested. Are you going to walk by faith or by fear? Are you going to trust God even when circumstances make no sense? This period of isolation is like a refining fire. Experience strips away reliance on what is temporary and shapes reliance on what is eternal. The loneliness is not empty. It is fertile ground for spiritual growth. Experience. Transformation also comes through clarity. When people are removed from your life, you begin to see relationships for what they truly were. Experience. You start to discern loyalty from convenience, love from pretense, and companionship from distraction. God is revealing the truth. Experience. And this truth equips you to make wiser decisions in the future. Experience. You'll no longer settle for shallow connections or compromise your destiny for the sake of someone else's comfort. In isolation, experience, God teaches you to value what is eternal and to reject what is temporary. You learn that peace and purpose are far more important than popularity or approval. Experience. The tears you shed during this season are not wasted. They are part of your education. Pain has a unique way of speaking lessons that comfort cannot. It teaches empathy, patience, experience, and resilience. Every moment of heartache carries wisdom if you allow God to speak through it. When you feel like no one understands, he does. When you feel alone, experience, he is closer than ever. And when you feel broken, he is rebuilding you piece by piece, preparing you for the next level of your journey. The isolation that feels unbearable today will become the foundation of your strength tomorrow. You will emerge with a deeper understanding of yourself, experience, a clearer vision of your purpose, and a more profound relationship with God. It is also important to remember that isolation is not permanent. God's timing is perfect. Experience, and every season has its purpose. The space he gives you now is not meant to keep you alone forever. It is meant to prepare you for the people, opportunities, experience, and blessings that are coming. When you emerge from this season, you will carry lessons that could not have been learned any other way. Experience. You will have discernment that will protect you from repeating mistakes. You will have resilience that will help you endure future challenges. Experience. You will have a perspective shaped by God that will allow you to embrace your destiny with confidence and clarity. Finally, isolation leads to intimacy with God. When the noise of life quiets down and people are removed, you begin to experience God's presence more fully. Prayer becomes more than routine. Experience. It becomes a conversation with your Father. Worship becomes more than habit. It becomes a lifeline. Study of His Word becomes more than obligation. It becomes guidance. Experience. In this solitude, God pours wisdom, strength, and courage into your heart. You discover that He is your ultimate companion, your constant supporter. Experience and the source of your true identity. And with this foundation, you will be ready to step into the purpose He has been preparing you for all along. So do not fear isolation. Experience. Do not resent the departure of people who were never meant to finish the journey with you. Embrace the solitude, for it is a season of transformation. Experience. Trust that God is using this time to shape you, strengthen you, and prepare you for what lies ahead. Experience. The isolation you experience today is the classroom in which your character is refined, your vision clarified, and your faith deepened. By the time this season ends, experience, you will not only be ready to walk into your destiny, but you will also walk with wisdom, strength, and a confidence that comes only from God. Experience. Not everyone can carry the weight of your calling, and that is why God removes some people from your life. Purpose has a pressure. Experience. And destiny comes with a responsibility that not everyone is ready to handle. There are seasons where you are called to rise, to step into assignments that require vision, courage, experience, and faith. And not everyone in your life can walk with you through that elevation. Some people are comfortable with you staying small, with you remaining limited. Experience. With you not stepping into the fullness of who God created you to be. When you begin to grow, when your influence increases, when your potential becomes visible, experience. The same people who once cheered for you may start to feel threatened, and God in His wisdom removes them before they can hinder your path. Experience. Their departure is not always about their lack of love. Sometimes it is about their inability to bear the weight of your destiny. The truth is experience. Some people are only meant to be part of your past. They were meant to teach you lessons, to provide temporary companionship, or to walk with you through certain experiences. Experience. But your future requires partners who can understand, support, and even champion your growth. People who were unable to handle your evolution might resist it, discourage it, experience, or subtly sabotage it, whether intentionally or unknowingly. God's removal is a protective measure. He knows the dangers you cannot see. He knows the hearts of those around you. Experience, and He knows which relationships will uplift you and which will slow you down. Sometimes God has to create distance to preserve your calling. Experience, because if you remain attached to those who cannot handle your destiny, you risk compromising your purpose. You must understand that elevation brings exposure. Experience. When God calls you to higher levels of influence or responsibility, He exposes you to new opportunities, but also to new challenges. Experience. Not everyone can walk with you into that exposure. Some people cannot handle the pressure of your next level. Some cannot handle the vision God has placed in you. Experience. That is why God carefully removes those who are not aligned with your calling. He is not being unkind. He is being strategic. He is preparing you for the right relationships, experience, the right opportunities, and the right environment where your gifts can flourish without restraint. His timing is perfect, and His wisdom exceeds human understanding. Experience. Those who leave were never meant to carry the load God has planned for you. In this process, you begin to see the difference between temporary connections and permanent alliances. Experience. Temporary connections may have been valuable in their season, but they were not equipped to handle the responsibility of your calling. Experience. Permanent alliances are rooted in shared vision, trust, and mutual commitment to growth. God removes those who cannot handle your calling to make room for those who can. Experience. This is why it is so important not to chase after people who have been removed from your life. Experience. Clinging to someone who is not meant to finish with you only delays your growth and compromises your future. God's removal is deliberate, and it is always for your good. Experience. The right people will align with your calling, and they will come at the right time to support, encourage, and strengthen you. The weight of your calling requires discernment. Experience. God wants you to learn to recognize who is truly for you and who is not. He wants you to identify relationships that empower and relationships that drain. Experience. This discernment is part of your preparation. When people leave, it is not always a rejection, it is a revelation. You learn to see clearly. Experience. To trust the guidance of God over the opinions of others, and to focus on those who are aligned with your destiny. Experience. The removal of certain individuals teaches you that not everyone who applauds your beginning is equipped for your next chapter. It also teaches you patience, faith, experience, and reliance on God alone, because ultimately your calling cannot be fulfilled by human approval or support. It is driven by divine purpose. Finally, experience. God removes people to protect the integrity of your journey. Some relationships, if left unchecked, can introduce doubt, distraction, or even defeat into your path. Experience. God's removal is not about punishment. It is about preservation. He ensures that when you step into your next season, you do so unencumbered. Experience. Free to walk confidently in the purpose He has prepared for you. Those who leave make room for the right individuals who will share in your vision, pray for your success, experience, and walk beside you with faith and understanding. They make room for partnerships that will endure the pressures of destiny. This is why it is crucial to trust God's process, experience, to let go of what is not meant to remain, and to embrace the journey He has designed for you. Your calling is too important to compromise. Experience, and God's removal of certain people is His way of ensuring that you fulfill it fully and without hindrance. When a season ends abruptly and people leave your life, experience, it is easy to feel confused and unsettled. You may find yourself replaying every moment, every word, every interaction, trying to understand what went wrong. But the truth is, experience, closure is often God's signature on your life. When He closes a door, it is not arbitrary. It is deliberate, purposeful, and necessary for the fulfillment of your destiny. Experience. God is sovereign and His timing is perfect. What feels like an abrupt ending is actually a divine confirmation that the chapter has run its course. Experience. He is signaling that it is time for you to move on, not to linger, not to question endlessly, but to step forward into what He has prepared for you. Experience. Closure is a demonstration of God's care. It is His way of protecting you from lingering in situations, relationships, experience, or circumstances that are no longer aligned with your purpose. Holding on to what He has closed keeps you in a place of stagnation, confusion, and distraction. Every person, experience of opportunity, every door that God has closed has a reason. It may not be clear in the moment, and it may feel painful, but each closure carries wisdom and protection. Experience. When you respect God's closures, you create space for His next move in your life. You honor His timing, and you allow the flow of destiny to continue unimpeded. Often, experience, people struggle with closure because they confuse endings with failure. They assume that if a relationship ends, a job opportunity passes, or a situation changes, experience, something has gone wrong. But God's perspective is different. Endings are not always failures, they are transitions. Experience, they are His way of steering you away from paths that would lead to compromise or distraction and guiding you toward paths that lead to alignment, peace, and purpose. Experience, what may look like a loss now could be the very step that prevents a greater loss in the future. God sees the outcome before the journey begins. Experience. That is why His closures are always protective, even when they feel painful or unfair. Closure also teaches you trust. When God closes a door, experience, He is asking you to rely on Him rather than your own understanding. He is challenging you to believe that His plan is greater than what you can see. Experience. It is an invitation to surrender your control and acknowledge that you do not need to force outcomes or manipulate situations. Experience. God's closures are a reminder that He is in charge and that His timing is perfect. The sooner you accept this truth, the sooner you can experience peace and clarity. Experience. Resistance only prolongs confusion, but acceptance opens the door to revelation and opportunity. Another important aspect of closure is the clarity it brings. Experience. When God removes people or ends situations, He reveals truths that were previously hidden. You begin to understand the motives of others, the direction of your own heart. Experience, and the lessons you were meant to learn. Closure gives perspective. It shows you where your boundaries should be, where your energy should be invested. Experience, and who should accompany you on your journey. Without closure, you remain entangled in uncertainty, unable to discern what is beneficial from what is detrimental. Experience. God's closure is a way of clearing the path, removing obstacles, and preparing you to walk confidently into your next season. Experience. Closure also protects your emotional and spiritual well-being. Holding on to unfinished relationships or unfulfilled expectations creates stress, anxiety, and doubt. Experience. It clouds your judgment and distracts you from God's purpose. When God closes a door, He is creating space for restoration, peace, and alignment. Experience. He is ensuring that you are not bound to what is over so that you can embrace what is next. It is an act of divine mercy, allowing you to focus on growth rather than grief. Experience, on opportunities rather than obstacles, and on His guidance rather than human manipulation. Finally, closure is a reminder that God is orchestrating your journey. Experience. Nothing happens by accident in His plan. Every ending, every removal, every shift is intentional. It is His signature, His mark, His way of communicating that He is present, aware, Experience and actively working for your good. When you recognize closure as God's signature, you begin to release the past, embrace the present, and step into the future with confidence. Experience. You learn to trust that what he takes away is not meant to harm you, and what he leads you to is meant to elevate you. Closure is not the end. Experience. It is the confirmation that the next chapter is ready and God's hand is guiding every step. So when you face loss, separation, or the end of a season, experience, remember that closure is God's signature on your life. It is deliberate, protective, and purposeful. It is his way of guiding you toward peace, alignment, and destiny. Experience, stop trying to reopen what he has closed. Stop questioning what he has ordained. Instead, step forward, trust his timing, and embrace the new season he is preparing. Experience. What is over has ended for a reason, and what is coming next is already orchestrated by the one who holds your future. What you are experiencing now, the loss, the departure, experience, the change may feel like the end of the world. You may be asking yourself, why did they leave? Why did this happen? Experience, why does it hurt so much? But what you are feeling is temporary, and what God is doing is eternal. God's plan is always bigger than your pain. He sees the full picture. Experience the outcome of every season, the hidden purpose behind every struggle. What you lost was never meant to stay. It was never meant to define you. Experience, and what is coming, the restoration, the blessings, the alignment, is far greater than what you have experienced. The pain is only a signpost, experience, pointing you to a future that is already prepared and waiting for you. Sometimes God removes people from your life to protect your potential. He knows the dangers you cannot see. Experience. He understands the obstacles that could prevent your destiny from unfolding. The people you thought you needed may have been distractions, sources of compromise, experience, or even barriers to the blessings God has for you. Their departure may feel painful, but it is purposeful. It is designed to create space for your growth, for new relationships, experience, for new opportunities that align with your calling. The absence of certain individuals is not a sign of rejection. It is a demonstration of God's care and his foresight. Experience. He knows what lies ahead, and he positions your life accordingly. God's plan is bigger than what you can understand right now. Your mind is limited. Your perspective is small. Experience. You see only the pieces in front of you. You see the heart hatch, the disappointment, the loss. But God sees the entire puzzle. He sees the victories that will come. Experience, the doors that will open, the lessons that will prepare you for greater success. He knows that if certain people remained, if certain situations continued, experience, you might miss the fullness of your destiny. The pain you feel today is temporary, but the alignment, growth, and blessings that result from God's intervention are eternal. Experience, he is always working for your good, even when it doesn't feel like it. There is also a spiritual principle at work. Experience. God often removes what is familiar to give you what is functional. What you had may have been comfortable, but comfort does not always lead to purpose. Experience. God removes what is safe to bring you into the realm of faith, growth, and opportunity. Your comfort zone can sometimes be a cage, and he wants to set you free. When people leave, experience, doors close, and seasons end, it is not a punishment. It is a preparation. God is ready to give you more than you ever imagined. Experience, but he must first remove what hinders your readiness. What you are experiencing is the necessary clearing of the path for your next level. Experience. Pain has a way of teaching lessons that comfort cannot. Every tear, every heartbreak, every unexpected goodbye carries a divine message. God wants you to understand your worth. Experience, your resilience, and your faith. He wants you to know that you do not depend on human validation for your identity, and that your ultimate destiny is secured in him. Experience. The people who leave your life may have been necessary for growth, but they were never meant to be permanent. Their exit allows you to see clearly, to trust God fully, experience, and to step confidently into what he has designed for you. The past is not lost. It is a foundation for the future. When God removes something or someone from your life, experience, he is also creating space for something better. The right relationships, opportunities, and blessings cannot enter when the wrong people or situations occupy your life. What you feel like you are missing today is actually the very thing that's making room for your expansion. The timing of God is perfect. He never delays a blessing. Experience. He never closes a door too early. Every removal, every change, every heartbreak has a purpose that is aligned with your destiny. You may not understand it now. Experience. But one day you will look back and say, that loss was the very thing that prepared me for my greatest blessing. Finally, God wants you to trust him through the pain. Experience. He wants you to remember that your temporary discomfort is not the end of your story. He is faithful, He is sovereign, and His plans for you are good. Experience. The departure of someone from your life is not the end of love, support, or opportunity. It is simply the clearing of the path so that He can bring the right people. Experience. The right doors and the right circumstances into your life. Your future is safe in His hands. What left you was never meant to stay, and what is meant for you will never miss you. Experience. The pain is temporary, but God's plan is permanent. Trust Him, stand firm in faith, and walk confidently into the destiny that is already prepared for you. You will see in time. Experience that the loss was not a punishment, but a preparation. The departure was not abandonment, but an alignment. Experience. The endings you could not understand were the beginnings of blessings you could not imagine. God's plan is always bigger than your pain, and His timing is always perfect. Experience. What you thought was over is actually opening a door to something far greater than you could have planned or hoped for. And when you embrace this truth, you will walk with peace, experience, confidence, and faith, knowing that everything God allows in your life, even the painful departures, is designed to protect, prepare, and propel you into your destiny.